Jay Harris for the defense. May it please the court. Your Honor, opposing counsel, members of the jury. No connection, no corruption, no conviction. Today we heard about the events leading up to a vote on April 17, 2015. One vote, one decision, his. He voted yes. Members of the jury, today we heard about a casino owner, Miss Avery Bancroft, and how she was putting in a proposal to get her second casino's license. We heard about Chase Covington, the head of the Gambling Commission, and how he had to vote on the best candidate for the job. He went with Miss Bancroft because she had more experience. It's that simple. But today, the state, they want you to believe that Chase Covington received money to be persuaded to vote in favor of Miss Bancroft's proposal. But there was no connection, no corruption. Today, the prosecution, they have the burden of proof in today's case. And they have to prove 3 elements to you beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, this is not an easy task. This is the highest burden in our justice system today. And they had to prove to you 3 elements. First, Chase Covington is a public official. Second, that Chase Covington received money to be influenced to vote in favor of Avery Bancroft. And third, that he had the intent to be influenced by that money to vote in favor of Ms. Bancroft. Members of the jury, they had to prove to you each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, when I say beyond a reasonable doubt, that simply means if after hearing all the facts and evidence in today's case, you have any doubts based upon your own common sense or reason, then you cannot find in favor of the prosecution. Members of the jury, this case today is filled with reasonable doubt. Let's begin with the second element. And Chase Covington received money and was influenced by that money to vote in favor of Ms. Bancroft. Members of the jury, 6 witnesses came before you today. And not one single witness that took that stand could tell you that they actually saw Ms. Bancroft give money to Chase Covington. Ms. Bancroft's own assistant, Corey Hyde, she came before you to testify. And she talked a little bit about the meetings between Chase Covington and Avery Bancroft. She told you that on April 16th, Avery Bancroft and Chase Covington, they were supposed to meet. Before that meeting, she saw her boss put about $200,000 into her briefcase. She walked down to that meeting where she was supposed to meet Chase Covington, but members of the jury, Chase Covington wasn't at that meeting. That's reasonable doubt. Next, we heard Pat Sikorsky. Pat Sikorsky, a forensic investigator, he came before you and he told you about the briefcase. He told you that it came from Chase Covington, but however, he could not tell you what was in the briefcase. He could not tell you when Avery Bancroft or Chase Covington touched this briefcase. He could not tell you if there was a transaction made. Chase Covington's own stepsister, she came before you today, and she told you about things that she found in her home. She said that Chase Covington had a lot of different briefcases, and in those briefcases, sometimes there was money. And this was a usual thing because Chase Covington was a businessman. And members of the jury, the state has not provided you with one single piece of evidence that Chase Covington received money to be influenced by a vote. That is reasonable doubt. Today you heard about the events on April 16th. You heard from the head of the security at the casino and from a blackjack dealer at the casino. They saw the two, Avery Bancroft and Chase Covington, playing at a blackjack table on that day. Yes, they indeed had briefcases, but they never saw a switch. On the camera feeds, I never saw them switch briefcases. When she was in front of them dealing out the cards, I never saw them switch any briefcases. I never even saw what was in the briefcases. Members of the jury, that is reasonable doubt. Chase Covington, he came up here today and he told you exactly what happened. I have plenty of briefcases. And me and Miss Bancroft, we have met a few times, and she has touched some of my briefcases. That is why her fingerprints are on those briefcases. He told you that Miss Bancroft already owned a casino, so he had to make sure that she was going to be able to handle 2 casinos. And that's why he was meeting with her. But in the end, it came down to experience because Miss Bancroft had owned a casino before and Miss Shannon Stark had not. That was the price. Experience. He went with the most experienced candidate. There was no bribe, there was no connection, and there was no corruption. Every single witness that has taken the stand before you has told you, I did not see what was in the briefcase. I did not see Miss Bancroft hand Chase Covington this briefcase. Members of the jury, that is reasonable doubt. Now let's move on to that third element that they had to prove. That he had the intent to be influenced by this bribe. Now if you believe that the prosecution has proven that second element somehow, that Chase Covington actually received money, they also had to prove to you that he had the intent to be influenced by that money to vote in favor of Ms. Bancroft. We have not heard any testimony of that today. Because Chase Covington, he came up here and told you exactly why. It came down to experience, members of the jury. And in front of you, they tried to tell you that because he had $200,000 put into his bank account, and that means that he received that from Miss Bancroft. But there was a lot of testimony about this money because the step-sibling, she said that they agreed upon $250,000. Ms. Hyde, she also said $250,000 reasons. However, there's only $200,000. Members of the jury, that is reasonable doubt. The prosecution, they had to link each and every single element together. They haven't. And they have not brought forth any proof beyond a reasonable doubt that connects my client, Chase Covington, to a bribe. There's no connection, no corruption, no conviction. The prosecution has not proven their burden today, and that is why we ask that you find Chase Covington not guilty.